In this video, we're going to be going over the best helicopters in GTA 5 Online. But before we get into the video, I just wanted to remind you to smash that subscribe button. It's completely free and you can unsubscribe whenever you want. There's literally no good reason not to subscribe, and it really helps out the channel, so please just take a second to make sure you're subscribed. The first helicopter that I'm going to be talking about is the Buzzard, which costs $1.75 million. This is the cheapest weaponized helicopter in the game, making it great for beginners. The Buzzard is equipped with a machine gun and homing missiles. The machine gun isn't great, but it can be useful against some of the weaker targets in the game. The homing missiles have okay tracking, and they're pretty useful for fighting NPCs. The Buzzard's also pretty easy to control, and it's pretty quick. Another great thing about the Buzzard is that you can actually spawn it in right next to you through the CEO interaction menu for free. If you aren't a CEO, you can still spawn it in by calling Pegasus, it just might be a little bit farther away. Overall, the Buzzard's pretty reliable and good for beginners looking for a good transport or weaponized vehicle. The next helicopter on this list is the Sparrow, which was recently added in the Cayo heist update. The helicopter costs about $1.8 million, but in order to purchase it, you need to own the Kosaka first, which is a submarine HQ that you can use to start the Cayo heist. While this helicopter doesn't come with any weapons, homing missiles can be added to it for an additional $200,000. These homing missiles are similar to the Buzzards, but they are a little bit better in my opinion since they can fire at a faster rate. The Sparrow can be spawned in right next to you like the Buzzard through the interaction menu, except this time it's through the Kosaka part of the interaction menu under services. And you don't even have to be a CEO like you do with the Buzzard. The main reason the Sparrow is on this list is because of how helpful it is when doing the Cayo heist setup missions, which give you access to the most profitable heist in the game. Let me explain. All of the Cayo heist setup missions start on a submarine in the middle of the ocean, and getting back to shore can take a while since you can't spawn in any of your personal vehicles while on the Kosaka, such as the Oppressor Mark II. The Sparrow solves this problem since it's stored on the Kosaka, and because of this, it probably cuts the time it takes for you to do the heist in half, and it was basically designed to do the heist setup missions. If you're planning on doing the Cayo heist, which you definitely should because it's the best way to make money in the game, the Sparrow is a must-have vehicle. Coming in at the number 2 spot on this list is the Akula, which is a stealth helicopter. The Akula costs $3.7 million, but you can get it for a trade price of $2.78 million if you complete the server farm setup mission in the Doomsday heist. The Akula can be equipped with homing missiles, barrage missiles, a machine gun, and bombs, which give it the upper hand in a variety of combat scenarios. It also has decent armor, and can usually take a couple homing missiles before being destroyed. The main reason this vehicle is useful is because it can actually go into stealth mode, which only one other helicopter in the game has. In stealth mode, the Akula completely disappears from the map, which is a really useful feature when doing missions in populated lobbies to avoid griefers. The only bad thing about stealth mode is that the weapons are disabled, but this shouldn't be a problem if no one can find you. Before we go to the number 1 helicopter on this list, I wanted to make a few special mentions to helicopters that are pretty good, but I couldn't find a good place on this list for. The first special mention is the Annihilator stealth helicopter, which is a stealth helicopter that was recently added in the Cayo heist update. It costs $3.87 million, but you can get it for a trade price of $2.9 million if you complete the Cayo heist using it as your approach vehicle. Its price tag does make it a little bit more expensive than the Akula, which is the other stealth helicopter in the game, and from what I can tell, it's extremely similar to the Akula, but it just costs a little bit more, and in my opinion, it does look a little bit cooler. It's still pretty good and one of the only stealth helicopters in the game, so if you're willing to spend a little bit more for a better looking helicopter, then you can. But in terms of functionality, they're both very similar, so I'd only recommend buying one. The next special mention on this list is the Savage, which is an attack helicopter that costs $2.6 million, but you can get it for a trade price of $1.95 million if you complete the convoy setup mission in the Pacific Standard heist. The Savage is equipped with an explosive cannon and homing missiles, which helps it when fighting other attack helicopters and armored ground targets. Its main drawback is that it has bad maneuverability and acceleration, which make it difficult to control. It's still a decent option for players looking for a mid-range priced attack helicopter. At the number 1 spot on this list is the FH-1 Hunter, which is an attack helicopter that costs $4.1 million, but you can get it for a trade price of $3.1 million if you source 42 hangar crates. This makes it the most expensive helicopter on this list. The Hunter is equipped with homing missiles, barrage missiles, an explosive cannon, and bombs. All of the weapons can be operated by the pilot, except for the explosive cannon, which needs to be operated by a co-pilot. This gives the Hunter an advantage in combat, since it can have multiple weapons firing at the same time if there's a co-pilot. The Hunter can also have countermeasures like flares added to it. In terms of performance, the Hunter is very maneuverable and quick for its size, but it does sometimes have difficulty landing in tight spaces. Despite this, the Hunter is still easily the best attack helicopter in the game, but because of its price, I only recommend buying it if you plan on using it frequently in missions. Thanks for watching. Check out one of these videos next, leave a like, and subscribe.